Today I'm actually going to demo the product of Golden that is called Clear Tar Gel. And it's a very stringy product. How many have never used this? Good. Then you'll be wanting to know what all this can do. I'll start off by showing you some easy things. You can use it to make an image transfer. Do you know what an image transfer is?
Yes.
Okay. It's taking a photo and printing the photo, putting the clear tar gel, I mean you can use other mediums too, but putting the clear tar gel over the photo. This happens to be a photo of my hand. Maybe I should hold it up right. And I've just started to take the paper off, and then more paper would come off, and this would end up being just a piece of clear tar gel with the picture on here, which then is transparent that I can put onto any artwork that I want. That's one of the things you can do with it. Another thing is that, oh, here's an image, and I'll show it on something white. That's actually an image transfer. Can you see that?
Now again, what did you do, Anita? You took, to get that?
To get this, I had a photo, and I put the clear tar gel on top of the photo, and then took all the paper off of it. And now, with that image, this could go on top of anything, and whatever's behind it shows through. You peel the paper off. You wet the paper at the back and peel it off.
You have to wet the paper to get it off?
That's right. And believe me, if anyone tells you that's easy and fun to do, it's not fun to do. It's fun when it's finished. Another thing you can do with the tar gel is, I poured this onto a piece of plastic, let it dry for about 5 days, and then I put it through my printer, my inkjet printer. And can you see what it is? It's a picture of me. And I think this is so beautiful. And actually now I could actually mount this and put it onto a panel, on a canvas, or anything that I want to do with it. But you can actually just put it through your inkjet printer, and the printer doesn't know it's printing on plastic.
When you put the plastic through the printer, is it still attached to the paper? Or is it...
Yes, what you do is you, just like I have it here with the tape, I left that part of the tape on there, and I would tape it all around. Then you just put it through the printer and put it on the lowest printing setting because you don't want it to stay too long. Let it whip through the printer, and you actually just take it off, and it's see-through. You can put it on anything. It's a great way to mount photos.
What's the difference between laminating something and that?
I've never laminated anything, so, but this is just a lot of fun.
You have to put the picture on the sticky stuff and you can never get it off.
Oh, okay. This is actually printing on here. So anything that you want to print, you can print it right on the plastic, right from your inkjet. Okay. Something else that the clear tar gel can do is, this takes about 3 or 4 days to dry. You could just drop it onto a plastic surface, add some paint, swirl some paint around, and when it's dry, you can pick it up, and you've got a little skin. Now, does this show on the camera?
Yeah.
Okay. So then with that skin, if you can't see it like that, I brought a whiteboard so you can see it there. And I put metallics in it, just swirled it around. So with this, and it did its own shape because it just kind of ran. So you could cut this if you want to and apply it to cards or apply it to a canvas panel, whatever you want. So it's just like a piece of plastic.
Was that water resistant?
It's water resistant. As a matter of fact, where this works really good is if you apply it to a window and the sun comes through. I had a little piece of clear tar gel with no paint on it. This was after class one day. And I had 2 of them, and I just threw them on the window in the sunroom. And later on I saw Kent, my husband, go outside from the outside, try to wash the windows. I didn't have the nerve for the longest time to tell him it was the inside and was something I was playing with. So. And he said, if you don't mind, just don't do things like that. I'm trying to show you this is very versatile. You can actually also take the tar gel and mix it with paint, which is the fluid acrylics. You can mix it with heavy body too, but you'd have to dilute them. And then when it's on a plastic surface, just pour your paint. And when it dries, you have the paint. Now this could be, again, this is on the correct side where I poured it like this. This is the other side where the paint does its own thing. Now I don't think I could ever paint anything that pretty. And this could actually be used on a canvas and just apply this and it would become part of the painting. All it is paint and the clear tar gel. And I'm not applying it to anything because I want to show it as a demo. But this is something that you can do with tar gel as well.
And what do you use to adhere it to the...
You can use a soft gel gloss or a polymer medium, any of the glosses or gels that dry clear. Another thing that I've done with this is you can see this. It's a piece of plastic. I had a board that I covered with a white garbage bag. I painted the poppies on the white garbage bag. Then I took my clear tar gel and poured it on top of the poppies. When it was dry, which, you know, it depends on the humidity, it might take about 3 or 4 days, so the best thing is put it in a room that you don't see it, so you don't pick at it, because you can't leave it alone. And so when it's dry, it peels off of the plastic, your painting comes with it. And this could be applied to a panel, which I did have a panel ready for it, but I have too much fun showing it, so I haven't done anything else with it. But really your imagination is your limit.
Could you put it over an oil painting?
Acrylics I don't think work over oils, but oils work over acrylics. Then you'd be covering it up. Something else that I like to do to use this is just to enhance a painting. And this is one sample. Can you see the depth on here? And that is layers of tar gel poured over an acrylic painting. And that's just on canvas, so it can be done on the canvas. And this has 2 or 3 layers poured. And I'll do a little pouring for you.
Anita, hold it up too. Just hold it up. It's the white out. You can see the texture better that way. Thank you.
Oh, okay. And you can come up and see this after the demo too. And I do a few pieces like that because it's just so much fun. You might be able to see this one. Creaky. Okay, that is another pouring, and I like to leave some of the canvas without any tar gel on it, just so you can see the difference in the texture.
So you just let it run down?
I'll show you how I do that. This is sort of what I'm going to do in a demo today without putting the flowers on top of it. This is layer by layer of tar gel. And can you see that? Because that has a lot of iridescent copper on it. Then on the top, after I poured all the tar gel, then it has light molding paste. The tulips are made out of light molding paste. This is the tar gel poured over gold leaf with iridescent paint, so you might, it just sparkles. And then this is a layered painting of the tar gel. So this is what I'm going to start to demo for you right now. So what I have is I just have a panel, which I've taped the edges, so if any of the tar gel goes on the edge, I happen to not like to get the edges all full of tar gel, whatever, because this stuff doesn't come off once it's dry. And this is only a painted panel.
painted that with watercolor?
No, this is painted with fluid acrylics.
Acrylic.
And actually the white on there is just, I sprayed some alcohol on it just for some extra texture. And I do try to wear gloves with this because otherwise at 10 o'clock tonight I'm still peeling the stuff off my fingers. It makes a nice cover, a gel manicure rather. I put the plastic under the lid because any of these gels and mediums, they act like a glue and they like to self-glue themselves to the lid.
Does it have a lot of fumes, Anita?
No,
No, no fumes.
no fumes that I notice, and I'm very allergic to a lot of things, so it doesn't bother me at all. This is very stringy, and what I'm trying to achieve is a texture like this. It looks wet because it's very, very glossy.
What's a glossy gel?
It is glossy. Now you can go over the glossiness if you don't like it with just putting a matte, clear matte medium. Yes?
You thin it down. I have some that I think is a lot thicker than this.
You can thin it down, but this isn't thinned down.
Okay, what would you thin it with?
With water, which I do have some. I'm going to show you that. Okay, so this I just take it on the spoon. It looks white. It looks white on here, but it dries perfectly clear, as you can see. I'm just randomly letting this drizzle because I don't want to think too hard right now, but
Can you brush it out if you want to?
you can brush it out. You can brush it out because the brush marks are going to disappear. The only warning is it's really terrible job to wash it out of your brush. Use a throwaway brush. I prefer to use anything that I can get my hands on where I don't have to clean a brush. And today I'm not using any brushes.
Anita,
Yes?
what makes that different than any other clear gel?
Because of the stringy effect of this, and it also basically can keep its shape. It will flatten out a little bit, and it has a lot of depth to it. Whereas if you use a soft gel gloss or a soft gel matte, it actually doesn't keep any shape. You cannot drizzle with those, and if you use the heavy gel, it'll keep its shape, but you pretty well have to use a palette knife, and you can't drizzle it like this, and you cannot thin it enough to make this drizzle, to make those gels drizzle. They all dry clear, but this has a little extra fun technique. Now, if you've used anything like a self-leveling clear gel, that is basically this that has had more liquid put into it so it levels itself. So when I want self-leveling clear gel, I just add water. Oh no, in the beginning I bought everything. I've learned a bit. Actually, then you can spread it out if you want to. And go over. What I like to do is let this dry, like I did that one, and then typically I would do another layer. I would put paint on it, and then do another layer just because it gives it depth. This little painting with the tulips, it actually has about 4 or 5 layers of this. It's not really a good painting to do in a 3-hour classroom. This part is, but not to do, unless you do it every week. Keep adding to it. Okay.
It stays supple and doesn't crack when it gets real thick?
It does not crack. As a matter of fact, I've used this on watercolor paper as well. And I was going to bring it, and I thought, I'm just bringing too much stuff. So I did not do it, but I've used it on 300-pound paper, no cracks whatsoever. It bends with the paper. It's kind of like plastic, right? Okay. So there's the drizzling part of it. And warning, this must go home wet. I'll just put it on this table.
I'll take it.
And then give it back after it's dry.
Is that a wooden?
It is. It's a wood panel. And it's actually Cheap Joe's wood panel, and he calls it really good wood panel. And they come like that, and I like to use them because they're easy to use. They're easy to paint on. Okay, now I'll show you how to use it when it's thinned. And this is just a piece of paper. It's actually matte board with acid-free foam board that I love to paint on. And I glue the two of them together with Elmer's glue, cut them to size, and then I have pieces that are ready to go. If they turn out, they can be framed because they're all acid-free. So this was just using my cobalt teal with rubbing alcohol sprayed on it, fluid acrylics. And on this, now I have, well actually I'll show you on the undiluted tar gel. If you don't like to apply it the way that I did with the drizzling, and you don't like the look of the thick tar gel, you can just apply that. Take a palette knife, which is my cake decorating knife. This is the best I could do with cake decorating. And then just apply it to where you want it. As thick or as thin, you can scrape it, do little texture things with it. And there's a little cover, the start. So what I would do next with this is I would add a layer of paint. After this is dry, I would add some paint, and then I would add some more tar gel, maybe like this, and then add more paint, add more tar gel, and every time you do that, the painting looks like it has a lot of depth. It really turns into a beautiful painting.
How many colors can you put? What's the max?
Pardon me?
Is there a max and how many can you put?
I don't think so, because you can put it quite heavy. The only thing would be with my tulips, and it's iridescent paint, and when you see it after the demo, you see it up close, it really, I happen to think it really is quite beautiful because I had the tar gel dry with an open window. And you see these little lines? I did not paint those little lines in there. When it dried with the open window, it was cracking. Not cracking the tar gel, but it was blowing it ever so gently. So as it dried, then it has all these beautiful ridges. I thought I couldn't do that again if I tried. So, and then I put, more paint, whatever, on top of it. So that was building up the layers.
Anita?
Yes?
Have you ever tried the tar gel on Yupo?
Yes, it works wonderful on Yupo. Wonderful. As a matter of fact, what I like to do when I do demos frequently is have something written on the Yupo and then just put paint over it, and the tar gel stays white. And everything around the Yupo is there. I just didn't bring that one. But yeah, it works great on Yupo. Okay, now if you like to have the tar gel and pour it, it's actually, if you were just to pour it from here, because I've done this before and I've forgotten to mix it with water, it's so thick and draggy that it's not a good idea to just pour this on here because it takes forever to move along your canvas. So, went to the dollar store to get another wonderful container, and no more than 30%. And everything with Golden Supplies, stop cracking. Okay, I can't breathe. Everything with Golden Supplies is, do not mix it with more than 30% except for crackle paste, which is do not even mix more than 10% paint into it, or you'll destroy the crackle part of it. So 30% is the magic word. So when I was mixing this last night, I had a little too much water, so I had to add more and more and more. So I thought, that's okay. It's a sealed container. Might be a little thin. So now when I like to just pour this onto my painting, And if it happens to run off the edge, don't worry about it, you've just wasted a whole bunch of it. Because if it runs off the edge of your painting, it's going to drip onto the container, and then you've got some nice clear tar gel you can throw in your window. Yeah.
Does it stick to windows?
It sticks to windows, but it's not permanent. You peel it off. One of the students in my class, and she's not here today, she actually painted a decal that she could put on her patio door.
I don't know if this is a stupid question, but
I'm sure it's not.
if you put all this on here, and like you said, you can just, it'll come right off of that, and you can put in, why doesn't it peel off the paint?
It comes off of a window. It doesn't come off of this. It'll come off of plastic and off of a window after it's dried.
Okay.
But you put this on plexiglass, thinking that that's going to be where you're going to pour it and then peel it off. Oh no, it loves plexiglass. It's married to it. Found out the hard way.
So you can either put paint in it while it's wet or after it's dry?
You can paint on top of this when it's dry. You can add paint to this mixture. And
Instead of water.
well, you still need a little bit of water because it's actually fairly thick. So now that I have a little layer just on here, and so far it's pretty good because it's not running off the edges, so it won't be too messy. And I never mind mess, it's kind of fun. And that's how I would put one of the layers that I've done on several of my samples here. Ooh. That's one layer. Then when it dries, I could add another layer. Since the painting is finished, I would probably add another layer, but I would pour it maybe this way because then it's going to be different levels. And I personally like that, so it's a personal choice if you enjoy that or not. And like I said, these things act like glue. So I'm just trying to wipe the lid so I'll be able to take it off. Okay, then I'll move this one over.
So, Anita, a container that size, about how much does that run?
The tar gel?
Yeah.
From Jerry's or Cheap Joe's, they're about the same price, about $29 to $32. But it lasts a long time. So it's, unless you're tar gelling everything, which I kind of get into the habit of doing that.
Anita,
Yes?
that one you just did,
Yeah.
that was already painted with stripes like.
Right?
When that tar gel dries, now it's going to be in a different shape. It's not going to cover the whole thing, right?
It's not covering the whole canvas.
So would you, then what would you do, bring the underneath painting out on top of that tar gel, or?
No, the tar gel is going to dry completely clear. And actually,
And you don't care if it doesn't go to the edge?
no, I don't.
Okay.
Because when you see a painting like this,
Yeah,
this has a few layers, and if you look at it, you can see, you can feel the depth of the layers.
okay.
So,
Down lower, there.
okay. And you see here that that is just the canvas.
Okay.
So there's, and around here, I didn't pour it around the edges. And same with, this really shows up good too because of the black. It looks very dull where there's no tar gel. So then this has several pores, and actually I poured over the threads so they would stick in here. And when it dries, it's perfectly clear. It actually makes the painting a little brighter. So that one, I'll just pour it from another angle. I might do 2 or 3 pours on it. Yes?
And this pretty much finishes the canvas. You don't have to varnish it. This is the end of it, right?
Well, that's a good point because I do not varnish this, and Golden has said that this product will not yellow. It will not tarnish over time. It'll keep its shine. It'll be like this, like that's how it's finished. But it is not really called a varnish. So if you really like to varnish your pieces, and that's important to you with your acrylics, then you would apply a UV varnish over top of this, which you can do that. It won't hurt this at all. Okay, so what do we do with this now after we've just had some fun and put the tar gel on like this, and it is dry. So I'm going to show you how I start. This one, I did it on a white wood panel, and I haven't done the edges yet. This on top of here is glass bead. I actually put a little bit of paint on here, and then just put glass bead gel on top of it. That's the sparkly part that you see. Also, after you're finished with this, it's a good idea to cover it up since it does air dry. Now in the container, it seems to, get a shell and dry pretty fast. On your canvas, it takes 3 or 4 days. We'll figure that one out. Okay. Because now I already have red paint on here, I'm actually going to add some black and some gold. And I'm not using a brush, I'm using a sponge. If you put the clear tar gel on a white surface, unless you let the acrylic paint dry on top of it, it's going to have white lines throughout your painting. So if you want to take some of the paint off of it, you can use Q-tip, thank you, with rubbing alcohol. And that will take it off of the clear tar gel. It won't tarnish it or dull the shine or anything like that. It'll just make it white because it's clear, it's preserving whatever is underneath. So right now it's going to try and preserve the red because I poured it over the red canvas. So I'm just going to dampen my sponge. And then dry it. And what I'm using, it's an open acrylic, and it's called Red Black. And I think Lois introduced me to these years ago. Yeah, I love them. Use them a lot, I should say. And I just put some of it onto my sponge. Now, can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have to put the tar gel over the last layer of paint so it won't chip off?
No, it's acrylics. It won't chip off any more than any other acrylics. And again, if you like to varnish your canvases, your acrylic canvases, you could varnish on top of this. Now, just because I really like the effect of the tar gel, I probably would put another layer over top of it because it just is giving it some more depth. And I'm going to add a little more to it. Want to make sure it gets into the area where there is no gel. Just while I'm doing some of this, I should mention too that I'm teaching a workshop this Saturday at the West Pasco Art Guild, and it's from 9 till 3:30. I think, you know, if you're interested in it, and it's not about tar gel because this would be the final application if you want to put this on after, but it's painting from, it's an acrylic workshop, and it's painting from a dark background, dark to light, and then painting on top of it. So we'll be doing a really good background with that. If you're interested, I believe Bev Heller is still here in the crowd, so you could talk to her about that. Or talk to me too. You see how that brought out the depth in the painting?
Oh, yeah.
The thing about wearing gloves is I can't tell if this has gel on it. Well, just try that. I want the fiery red of the red paint, which is actually secured under the gel in the wood panel. I want that to really show through.
Anita, at this stage, do you have an idea of your final painting, or do you just look at it and see what it's telling you?
I just look at it and let it go. Sometimes these things live with me for a couple of years before it's like, oh, hello. Okay. You want to be finished? I thought you were.
I thought this has to be done on the wood pan,
No.
panel, or canvas.
It can be done on canvas. Can be done on paper. On UPO. It's a lot of fun. And, you know, just because they just drizzled it like this, but if you had something in mind, and something I should show you too, is you actually, if you have the patience like I did once upon a time, to put your tar gel into a container like this. The opening is this small. I had to dilute it. There. Okay, the opening is small, and I actually used a funnel and put it through the funnel and filled up this container. Then what happens is, and you can see how liquid that is. I did this about 4 years ago in a workshop. And I use it very sparingly because I don't want to refill it. But then you take that off and you have a nice little nozzle and you can draw with it.